time to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming, bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Matrix, and Whisperer.
G'day guys, welcome back. It is round 22. It is Tuesday, which means it's Team List Tuesday, and you're watching the Insight NRL Show. Show's brought to you by the Standard Squeeze and Ryan from Astute Newstead. I am the Supercoach Brain, and tonight with me is my co-host, the Supercoach Whisperer. How are you, mate?
Hello, my friend. That's a nice background you got there.
It is good, isn't it? Yeah, just, pluck this one in. No, I messaged you earlier today. I'm like, man, you got to send me a picture of your background and what I'll do.
I had to crawl under my desk with my hand perched over just so I could press the take photo button. It was a nightmare. But double basket. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Adam has the double washing basket. It's a
special night.
It is. Mate, we have a jam-packed show today. This is the biggest one for a while. So much happens at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Our one of our Inside Unlimited members, Grimesy, shout out to him, I'm sure he's watching, asked for a 4-hour pod tonight so that he could get a break from his kids. So I don't know whether we can do that, but we'll do our best to at least give you 90 minutes of good stuff. And for anybody who wants to see, because you can't see it properly, you've even got the cat for me in this photo.
Yeah, he makes an appearance. I couldn't remove him for a photo. But yeah, he gets a run too.
Love it. Guys, drop your questions in. Obviously, like we said, big show coming up. Plenty to talk about. We might even get Matrix a little bit later, depending on whether he can get his kids settled down. So be good to hear from him and congratulate him personally. But now, drop those questions in. We'll answer them throughout the show. Obviously, there's a Q&A segment at the end for those of you that are new. So hold tight. If you ask a question, we're not ignoring you, we promise. We'll get to as many of the good ones as we can. And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. Please hit like. We would really appreciate that to help get the pod out to more people. And if you're listening on audio, hit that follow button and leave us a review. How'd things end up last week, mate? How'd the, I know it says rank, let's not talk about it, but I'm going to make you talk about it.
End up with a 1263, not great. Should have been 13 plus. And then, if I made some better decisions, it was pushing 1400, and we'll talk about those in the best and worst situations. But dropped like 1800, ranks whatever for me. I'm in about $12,000 with the cashies. So somehow, if I'm still in the running with any of them, they're the focus. But mate, I am, as people would have known on Sunday, I am very much into round 1 territory. I'm even posting more content about round 1 because it's just like, whatever.
We love round 1. Yeah, it's that time of the year where you start looking at every player that's going to be dropping heaps of cash and what my starting team's going to be like next year. We're talking about Val Holmes potentially getting traded or moved across to the Dragons, and if he plays fullback and all of these hypothetical scenarios. So it's the best time of the year. What about the sliding doors moment for you last week, mate? I'm assuming it's very similar to the week before.
People would think it's taking the loop on Cleary and Tedesco, but that was only actually 49 points worse off. Only 49 points worse off. It was actually playing Isaac Tungo over Kale Ero, which cost me 51 points. So that was, I guess, in terms of points overview, the worst thing. Obviously, Ruben Garrett getting a 15, but we can never plan for those things. So, I would say playing Isaac Tungo over Kale Ero cost me the most points. But as I said, if I don't loop and if I take Ero over Tungo, then there's another 105 points, and that gets me up around 1400, which is much more respectable.
Yeah, for sure. I tried Kale Ero 2 weeks ago, so at least you still got him. He's going to make more cash for a little bit anyway, and seems relatively playable, at least as a safe option. But I traded him out to free up cash to Jake Tungo, so that hasn't been amazing. But my sliding doors moment from last week was just, I had a pretty good week overall. I'm not overly upset about it. I feel like a couple of main guys underperformed, Kryon, those kind of guys. I'm not going to beat myself up for playing Ruben Garrick over Ronaldo Mulitalo because that's never going to happen. It's just, unlucky that he got a HIA. But I played Terrell May over Fainu. Playing a guy that's going to be playing 35 minutes a game at prop versus an 80-minute edge back rower. Maybe not the best decision, and I think I'll probably trade Terrell May out this week, but that's a conversation piece to come very soon. And thanks, IJ, for the donation, mate. Really appreciate that. To'o to the Tigers. Bit of chat about it. You want to cover this now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the talk was that clubs are asking internally about Brian's Toto availability. Penrith are like, no, but I feel like this is a leak from Toto's camp. Seeing the money that Taru is getting, seeing the money that Luai's getting, and it actually coincided today with a podcast that Shane Richardson recorded for the West Tigers that said we have $2 million in the cap next year, and he wants to fill about 3 positions. So if you do the math, it's about $700K a year. I wouldn't hate a $4 million offer to Brian Toto over 4 years.
I reckon it makes sense. Galway here in the chat.
I'd pay him $1 million. The only winger that you'd pay anywhere near that for.
Yeah, but the amount of work that he does out of his own end is just insane. Like, best in the comp.
We have what Charlie Staines and Stafford Toa, and like they don't really offer much. And Jerome Buller's not a big fullback either. So to have, I guess, guys like Turuva, Toto, Adam Dewey, and Juzzy Olam to come out of the back end really helps the forwards. Obviously, the news that Stefano is also leaving frees up more money for us next year. So I'd love to see us have a gun winger, as Justin P said. I'm trying to think back the last like genuine gun that we had, like Daniel Fitzhenry in like the early 2010s.
Oh, you mean Ken Mamalo recently? He's a gun, isn't he?
Ken Mamalo. No, but like all seriousness, like the last gun winger that we probably had was, I would say, the back end of Daniel Fitzhenry in early 2010s, and then obviously Taniela Tuaki in late 2000s, early 2010s. So that's probably the last that I can think of. But I did post my ideal team for 2025. If you want to go check it out on the Twitter, I had Lockie Galvin at 13, which definitely stirred some feathers. I still believe that he isn't the best 6 we have at the club, but I'd love to know what you think.
Well, I mean, first of all, let's address this. Swift in the chat saying, didn't the Panthers CEO come out and say that he isn't leaving?
The Panthers CEO is going to come out and go, yeah, guys, we're definitely shopping him. Like, come on. Like, Peter Lang is just Peter Lang's a puppet, man. Don't listen to anything he said. He said Jerome wasn't signing. He said that Crichton wasn't leaving.
Yeah, that's right. He said some things that don't really mean much lately, so I wouldn't overly look at that. And they're not going to go out and openly admit that there's stuff going on.
I forgot about this. I completely forgot about.
Yeah, Matt Utah, you can add him to the list of Tigers has-beens that we went and signed way too late and got nothing from. So yeah, good times. Lottie Takiri, add another one. Yeah, this good. We could turn this into a full podcast, really, couldn't we?
Yeah,
we shouldn't, because we've got plenty to talk about tonight for the pod. So let's get into the injuries for the week ahead. First one stings a little bit in my fantasy world. Dane Laurie out with the HIA, so he misses this week. Matt Fiene also misses for the Dragons. Cotter, Garrick, Saab, and Laulili all miss with HIAs. 6 HIAs, probably the most I can remember in a week for at least a couple of months.
Yeah, definitely a few. The Dane Laurie one stings because we were both high on him as sort of an ultra pod, and he was looking really good. I'm definitely not stalling for time as I pull up the notes for this episode. But yeah, he was really good, and unfortunately the HIA sort of stung that a little bit, and yeah, out for 11 days. And then Dylan Edwards returning in around 24, so it's like, oof, what do we do from there? But yeah, they're the main ones. And then the injuries standpoint, Alex Johnson, of course, unfortunately for him, rupturing that rupturing that Achilles, which is probably even worse at his age. He's 29. We chatted about him at length on Sunday's episode, whether we think he's actually going to come back into this team next year, but he's out for 7 to 9 months. And another big one, Ronaldo Mulitalo, mate, pictured in that knee brace. It's confirmed that he's done an MCL and out for 4 weeks, which would bring him back around 26 at probably the earliest. And then the question becomes, what do we do with him? We definitely do cover him today in the episode as well. Now, NRL Physio in his Patreon sent the world into meltdown because there was images and pictures of Lockie Galvin clutching at his groin, had his ankle pretty heavily strapped, and we all feared that he wouldn't play. But the talk today was he trained and he's looking good, which is great because Manly are on the bye, couple of HIAs, couple of injuries, people are short.
Yes, it is very tight. I was talking to Matty on the phone earlier today, and he was trying to work out his team, and he's like, "Oh, can't do that because I am short this week." So he's going to have to make a move at least this week to get a full team on the park, which I assume a lot of other people are going to be in the same position. So good news for Galvin owners. The question becomes, do we still trade him? Because coming into the back end of the season, it's his first year. Kid didn't even play cup footy, came straight in from high school into the NRL. It's been a long season. The Tigers have been bruised and battered. Galvin's played through, I don't even know if I can count them on one hand, the amount of injuries he's played through this year and only missed like 1 or 2 games max. So do you feel like maybe the back end of the year is going to catch up with him and they either give him a rest or he maybe just kind of doesn't play as well as he has been?
I don't know, man. Like, he scored a 41 in a Puslinger game, but we forget about the 104 that he scored the week before. He's been pretty much ever consistent around that 45 to 60. I don't think this is the week to sell him. Surely by this stage of the season, we're not chasing money. His break-even's still only 43. He's 571K. He's made, a boatload of cash, nearly 370. This week, he does take on the Cowboys at LO, which I assume is Leichhardt, which will be a good venue to play at. Like, I'll happily play him there. And then yeah, let's look and assess. But if he does play the season out, Tigers have a pretty good draw to run home. Cowboys at Leichhardt, Newcastle, Souths at Campbelltown, Manly at Leichhardt, and what do they call Parramatta at Combank. So, not a bad run home if he does play it out. Whether they bleed Latu at 6 for a little bit or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I've got too short of numbers to be looking at selling him this week and more pressing issues. But with the 43 break even, I think he's probably a fine hold this week.
How many trades do you have to have really to fuck around with Galvin out?
Yeah, like seven, eight plus.
Yeah. I have 5 before trades this week, and I'm probably looking at doing 2 because I need to just finish my team. And I'll have 3 for injuries there, and I just won't touch them, hopefully, unless I absolutely have to. So, I'm probably going to hold Galvin because at the end of the day, he's still scored well in a bad team. And I think, like at the end of the day, the draw's okay, and we can't really say that they have a good draw because they're a shit team and they're on the bottom of the ladder. But they're still playing teams that leak Supercoach points and more Supercoach points than other teams. So that's Galvin. Trell, mate, he's rumoured to be back around 24 to 26, apparently. So, if it does end up being 26, why bother? If you're South, just put him on ice. And I assume that's what they do, wouldn't they, if it's that late?
Yeah, no, I agree. If it's 23 and they're still with a chance, of course. But if it's more 25, then, yeah, we could potentially just look to let that one go.
Yeah.
Jared Rea-Hargreaves, James Fisher-Harris picked up that groin injury, which he's missing this week and in doubt for future games moving forward. But Penrith just have a machine that keeps churning out numbers. Lindsay Smith was a nobody last year, and now all of a sudden he doesn't look out of place starting for the Penrith Panthers. So they just keep churning out players. Jason Taumalolo suffered that eye socket fracture, so he's out for, I think, the better part of a month. Dean Mariner with that knee as well. Stafford Teller with his hamstring, and Jackson Ford picking up his knee out for about 3 weeks as well. None of those guys overly relevant, but could open up doors for playing time for the back end of the season, or if you're looking at some nuffs for a couple of weeks, you might get some game time out of them in those short weeks.
Yep, spot on. Not overly relevant injuries there, aside from the first few that we mentioned. We'll talk about Mulitalo a fair bit in this podcast, but the rest of them, not really much. Not going to affect some teams, which is great. But mate, let's move on and kick off round 22, the weekly preview. And as always, the weekly preview is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead, the best moustache in Supercoach, I'm told to say. Your rate's above 6.2%. If you want to buy a home, you want to save some money, you want to refinance your current home, you can do that all with Ryan from Astute Newstead. He will give you an obligation and a cost-free inquiry as well. It won't cost you a thing to go and have a chat about your situation and how he can help you save some coin or get you into that dream home. So you can go to his link tree in the description below, click on the inquiry form, let him know that we sent you, and he will look after you. Now, Manly are on the bye this week, mate, which, I mean, is a blessing in disguise, isn't it, with Saab and Garrick out with HIAs as well. So that is handy. We always prepared to miss them this week, but no Turbo this week. No Homoli, obviously, who was due back from suspension as well. So if you've got potentially all 4 of those guys, you could be running pretty skint this week if you got hit by injuries.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bad week to have a bye, especially when Turbo is finding form from a Supercoach standpoint. Then you have to cover him, especially you got injuries to Mulitalo, you got Terrell May that stinks it up. You've got other guys in the 2RF and Max Plath and Lockie Galvin, these guys with question marks over them. So it's not a great week to have multiple players out, but thankfully I've only got the 2. But even then, I'm still reeling with some injuries and some red dots on my bench. But apart from that, man, there's we already mentioned him. Terrell May is a huge talking point. But remember, this is the first week or the final round of the regular season for your Supercoach leagues, your head-to-head finals. A lot of questions I've been getting about NRL finals and how that impacts Supercoach. It doesn't. Your finals kick off in 23 and they run until 26 if your league commissioner isn't a psychopath and has set his league up properly. But for your overall players, you definitely still play out until the end of round 27. and then that'll be it.
Yeah, that's right. So, if you're sitting just outside the 8, you've got to do everything you can to at least get yourself a win and give yourself a chance this week. If you're sitting pretty up the top of the ladder, maybe you can be a bit more conservative and hold some trades for your finals, because if you've got enough cash on the line, you want to make sure that you maximize that and get some wins this year. But, mate, we've got a few talking points. This one is the first one is the Terrell May. Now, his time's up. I think we can probably say pretty safely that he's a trade now, just based on what we're looking at with the minutes there, unless we see some, horrendous injury to a couple of props in the Roosters. I'd say that he's looking at maybe 40 minutes max every single week, which will net you probably 40 to 45 points. But you've got to get to AFB or Haas, really, isn't it? Like, would you consider anybody else a must-have?
Probably Tarpany if you have one of the two. And you didn't want to pay up for the other one. But just on Terrell May, averaging 62.5 on the season, that has to be the most fraudulent 62.5 I've ever seen. It's either 30 or 104. Like, it's just never 62.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his scores here. He's got an 86, 120, 116, 110. And the 116 and the 110 were in the major buy rounds. Thank you very much, Terrell May, for your service. But, you got some pretty low ones in there as well, 29, 37, 21, 39. So,
his COV is 46% for a prop 4. That is disgustingly horrendous. His scores over 60 as well are only 47%, and he's averaging 62. So 1 in every 2 games, he's going under his average, and his COV is ridiculously high, which basically is the percentage of times he deviates away, like how far he deviates away from his average. And 46% is like horrendous. Like Alex Johnson's like 55, and he is a perennial 20 or 100 point guy in previous seasons. So 46% for Terrell May is absolutely fraudulent. But those big scores came in the weeks we needed him most, but it's definitely tailed off post the bye. I mean, before the bye, 110, 75, 73, but then post-bye, it's been 54, 39, and those minutes don't look like picking up. Has the Dolphins this week and then the bye the week after. So definitely a sell, but the case is to who? And the two standouts, definitely AFB or Payne Haas. Now, Payne Haas is the more expensive of the two. It does have a lower average of 72 compared to AFB's 73. We look at BP, mate. I actually was pretty surprised about this because we look at AFB as sort of that inconsistent up and down middle. But Payne Haas has a 70 BP, and Adam Fullback's got a 66. So, even on his worst day, you expect still a mid-60s from AFB. The problem is the consistencies. So, scores under 50 this year. Payne Haas has gone under 50 0 times in 12 games, and AFB has gone under 50 4 times in 18 games. Over 90, however, Payne Haas has gone over 90 twice in 12 games, and AFB has gone over 96 times in 18 games. So, every 3 games, he's going over 90, which is... we've never seen that before from a front row forward. Maybe like Andrew Fafita back in the day, but that's probably all that I can think of. And then sort of the pros and cons for the two written down here. The pros for Payne Haas is he's much more consistent. He's got a 21% COV. And so for anyone that's not following, that's coefficient of variance. The lower the percentage, the better. 21% is great. 20% is considered elite. And Payne Haas's games over 60 points are 75. So 3 of every 4 games, he's going over 60 points, which is great. And the cons for him is the buy-in round 24, which is your head-to-head finals week 1. Now, for AFB, your pros are the biggest ceiling. He can go 100 plus on a semi-regular basis. As we said, 33% of the time he's going over 90, which is unreal. The cons for him is the buy-in round 27. Overall, players will be already killed in 27 as it is. So do you want to be adding that on top? Now, I've got my verdict, mate, but just based off those stats, I guess, where are you leaning towards? Because I was surprised about the BP for AFB. It's a little bit higher than what I would have thought. So you're getting more consistency than what I would have expected.
Yeah, very surprising. I'm just looking at pure base at the moment, and Haas is 52 and Fanor Blake is 50. So, like, in terms of base, they're pretty much identical. And that really surprises me. I think, there's a couple of things for me. If you're a head-to-head player and you really give a fuck about winning your head-to-heads, my pick is AFB because AFB has a buy in round 27. So he's going to play all 4 games for you throughout your final series. So, if you're a head-to-head player and you care about winning those, AFB is my pick. If you're an overall player, I'm probably picking Haas, to be honest. Round 24 buy, which isn't ideal. I think it's is it round 24 or 4? Yeah, round 24 bye. So he's got 2 more games into the bye. Then he's got Para, Dolphins, Melbourne to finish the season.
The thing is as well with Haas, though, as you said, if you're sitting pretty at the top of the ladder, it doesn't really matter too much for you. Like, you can afford to have it lower. And my thing is, mate, in 27, you're going to be depleted as it is. But what's the difference between Haas and like a Fainu? Like 20 points? Like you're giving up 20 points in 1 week to have Haas for the rest of the season. Like you're giving up a lot. You're giving up, nearly probably 60, 70 points with AFB in 27. So I'm in full agreement of you. And I also think if you're pushing for both, so normally there's a bit of a correlation. If you're doing well in head-to-head, you're generally doing okay in overall because it just goes hand in hand. I think if you're pushing for both, I would still opt for Haas because of that difference in 24 compared to 27.
Yeah, that's fair. I think most people probably are playing both as long as you possibly can anyway. I'm assuming if you're degenerates like us and you're in 6 or 7 cash leagues, then you're probably playing both because also we have to be wary doing a podcast of our ranks. But I think for me also this might be the tipping point. 2 more points for me. One, he plays the Gold Coast Titans this week, who concede the most points to front row forwards in 2024. So if you want a decent matchup and something that's probably looking quite advantageous this week, he's got a really nice matchup for front row forwards. So Haas would be the play there. And also the fact that Haas is under 40% owned in the top 1% of teams. AFB is approaching 80% this week. So if you want the more pod option, I don't know whether after next week people are going to be able to kind of want to get Haas. I feel like trades are running really low at the moment. Are you really going to want to get Payne Haas 1 week before a bye? It kind of feels like maybe now or just don't bother. I assume people are making a decision on Terrell May to whoever they need to get to this week. So it's either Haas or it's AFB. I don't know whether people are going to be picking up both. So if, with that in mind, my pick would be Haas, but the 30K difference could be the difference here. And we'll talk about why soon. But yeah, we need a Ronaldo Mulitalo cash free up. And there's not really any amazing options above 500K at the moment that can free up enough cash for you to get from May up to Payne Haas, which is pretty much my issue.
Also with Payne Haas, he's down a little bit on minutes. He's averaging 61. Last year, averaged 59. The year before, averaged 62. So he's hovering between 60 and 61. I think with the Broncos pushing for the 8, I think he's going to get a bit of an uptick as well. And we've seen that. We saw that last week. Played 71 minutes last week. Played 71 minutes against the Panthers in round 18 off the back of Origin. Has had a couple of low ones in there, 52, 59, 45. I think we're going to be seeing sort of 62 minutes minimum for him for the run home, which doesn't sound like much, but, Haas is running at a 1.17 ppm, an extra 2 minutes a game, an extra, 2.4, 2.5 points a game. Definitely adds up over the time. Doesn't have the upside and ability, but I just think for the fact that he does cover 27, he'll only miss 1 game in 24, which can be easily covered by a full team compared to 27, where you're praying that some of your nuffs get a run. I don't think people understand how grim 27 has been in previous years if you haven't played or you're have a short memory. So I would opt towards Haas pretty much on all 3 streets. But definitely if you're playing overall, Haas is the go for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think Haas is the better option just based on schedule and minutes. And, also you can't help but think in the back of your mind about AFB and when he faded recently and scored, sub 50 for about 3 or 4 weeks in a row there before he come good again. So the risk there potentially could be that he does that again. Based on what I'm seeing at the moment, I don't think it happens. I think he's still probably he's a professional sports player, like sportsman. He's not going to just go and play like shit on purpose just because he's leaving. So I'd have faith that he still finishes strong. But round 27's fucked. Like it's brutal. Like last year we talked about how much it impacted the actual final standings and whoever the guy that was in first all the way up to round 27 last year. I think he was first for like 17 rounds and then ended up dropping to 6th because he didn't have any trades left and got belted by all of the restings and stuff in round 27. So got to be wary of that for sure.
I think you make a good point with AFP as well. Like, as I said before, he's gone under 54 times this year in 18 games. And 3 of those 4 times were in a 5-week space. So he went 37, 103, 53, 34, 45 for about a 5-round average of about 60, which was heavily inflated by that 103. So, yeah, definitely just worth keeping in mind AFB. I'm not saying he's going to down tools, but he does have the tendency to go low. Minutes can be shared. I do think he is more prone to going below his season total in minutes, which is 59, and Haas's was 61. I think Haas probably plays 65 average for the rest of the season, and AFB could probably just hover around that 59. Seems like they're doing well with the rotation they've got, whereas Haas and Carrigan are so crucial to the Broncos.
Well, I mean, the Broncos are pretty much looking at we must win every game and hope that things go our way in differential. So they're going to need him for every minute, I reckon. So yeah, I agree. I think we can probably wrap that one up and say that Haas is the pick if you can get the cash.
Oh yeah, not saying you have to like go make 2 trades to get Haas in. Like if you go only afford AFB, then he's obviously still a very, very good option. Just money permitted, money no issue. We'd both prefer Haas.
Yeah, for sure. If you did have AFB and Barnett already, I wouldn't bother. I don't think you need 3 gun front rows unless you want to slide Barnett down to 2 RF, but then his value decreases for me. So
I mean, this guy's playing head-to-head end overall. Probably need to prepare in 27 for at least one of them out. But but we will, I guess, move on to the next topic of point, which is Ronaldo Mulitalo. 4 weeks, which is not fun. Probably makes his relevance done. He's back in 26, but I don't want to be holding a non-premium center wing until 26. So there's a couple of options. You've gone a little bit cheaper than I have. I've gone on the more expensive end. So I guess let's talk about you first on the downgrade side, because if you're needing to find funds elsewhere, then you've got a couple of really good names to downgrade.
Yeah, look, the obvious one for me is Casey McLean, like 270k, negative 17 break even. He's 35% owned in the top teams at the moment. So it's a bit of an obvious pick, I think. If you want to follow the crowd, which it makes sense, it frees up a ton of cash, nearly 300k you can get from this trade. Looking at his stats this year in 3 games, he bases 33, which is pretty elite for a centre wing, especially a guy playing at centre. Found his attacking stats last week. He got a try, his first try in the NRL. And also the Penrith Panthers have an amazing draw coming home. They've got the Knights this week. They've got Para, who are probably the best matchup in the comp aside from the Tigers. They play one tough game against Melbourne, but then they've got Raiders, Souths and Titans to finish the year. There's no risk of him being rested or dropped at this point either, because Paul Alamotti just had surgery on a fractured forearm. So, I feel like his spot in this side is pretty solid now for the short term, at least. I'd say for the regular season. If you want to be a little bit boring and you want to free up that cash, I can't talk you out of Casey McLean. But I don't know whether I want to go there, because it's just a little boring. There's not a ton of upside. For me, I'm looking for someone that I can replace that has Ronnie Mulitalo upside. That's kind of why I kept him to start with. I don't want to replace him with another base stat boring kind of guy, because I would have just kept Iro if that was the case. So a couple of guys I'm looking at. One of them that I'm more keen on than the other, Sam Stonestreet, who replaces him on the left wing. What are your thoughts on him? Because he played 1 game, scored a try, but did fuck all, basically, aside from that. His base is putrid. So you'd be relying on him to actually score some tries. Like, he's got a 22 base. He played against the Cowboys in round 7, scored 41 with a try, which is not usually someone you'd buy.
I don't want to talk about draw too much in detail, because we do have a segment on this podcast talking about the draw for the run home, but let's just say the Sharks have a very, very pretty draw. They're definitely going more left now that Nico's out. 204k, good enough, gets you a lot of cash. If you've got a boost in hand, you can go a Mulitalo to a Stonestreet, and then May to a Haas or AFB, and then you've still got 250, 260k in the bank to upgrade one of your mid-ranges to a premium. So definitely likes Stonestreet as a sort of downgrade enough. There's a couple of other really spicy ones here. There's a Sonny Taruva and a Josh Adokar. Talk to me about those boys.
I think Josh Adokar's the one where I'm just like, maybe vibes, but also maybe I'm just giving up on my season at that point by picking Josh Adokar just because I'm bored. I feel like if you want a guy that can score you 160, Josh Adokar's your guy. Like, he could easily score a hat trick. Bulldogs.
If you want a guy that can score you 16 as well.
Correct. What's his COV at the moment, Josh Adokar? He's got a COV of 82% this year, because he's got a couple of injury games in there. Yeah, he's got a 4. He's got a 4 in there in round 1 when he got injured and then missed 2 rounds. And obviously the fact that he got the 162 then throws that COV all over the shop. But
I mean, even last year, his COV was still 61%. 2 years before that was 68. That's with a full season sample.
And so the AE Nightmare might be an issue with him, which is why I'm much less keen on him. But Sonny Taruva, I don't mind that as an option. Just if you want a piece of the Panthers pie and you want someone that can score you 80 plus on any given week. I also feel like Sonny Taruva's base has improved this year because they just don't kick the long ball to To'o's corner. because they just don't want him bringing the ball back out of his own end. So Taruva's getting all of the kick returns. If it isn't going to the fullback, it's going to Taruva's wing. It's not going to To'o. So, there isn't much risk there with Taruva. I don't think he's a guy you're going to play that often. But if you do, then you know that every single time you play him, you're going to have a decent matchup. So, he is 520K, so he's not much cheaper. The decision I need to make this week, and I'd love your thoughts on it, would be if I go Taruva, I can't reach Haas. I have to get AFB because I won't have the cash to get up to Haas. Would you do Taruva and AFB, or would you prefer go a little bit cheaper with someone that's a little bit less proven, a little bit more risk as that center wing 6 and be able to get Haas?
Do you have to play them? Because like Adokar, he could be the play because he can get you, that big ceiling in good matchups. But you would have the AE nightmare, of course. But like he can get you Haas. I'm also in the same boat. I can't get to Haas in one trade at the moment. My one trade is made to AFB, and I'm short on Haas. I am looking at potentially downgrading to a Stone Street or somewhere like that. Going a bit cheaper and getting Haas. So I'm not too sure myself, but I definitely don't hate the Adokar play if it allows you to get Haas. Because I know that obviously your rank is much better than mine, and if you can push into that top 1K, it does look good. On your resume, I've been hanging on to my top 1K finishes for a couple of years now. So, mate, when you can get them, get them. But if it allows you to get Haas, I don't hate getting Adokar and playing him purely based off matchups.
Okay. All right. See, at the end of the day, I don't think I need to rely on this player. I mean,
that left was also humming. Like we have Kikau, Kryon, and Adokar. Like when he was there, it was humming. He didn't get 160 off a fluke.
No.
I was actually you and I were talking about this. We were talking about options beforehand, and before you click start on the stream, I was going to ask you about this player that Ian Johnson's brought, Beau Fermor. I don't hate Fermor. He's averaging 61 on the season. He's averaging about 63 for a 5-round sample. Don't hate him. I don't know if he's going to allow you to get to Haas, but he definitely could be an option as well.
And I guess you could probably throw the same kind of player like Dylan Lucas into the same basket as Beau Fermor, really. Dylan Lucas with the Knights draw coming up, we talk about them a fair bit with Ponga, like same kind of thing applies. The only issue is he's named at centre, which, try scoring opportunity goes up a little bit at centre. He's been seen to cross the stripe.
Newcastle radio today. I don't get out of my house very often, but I did get out today and had the radio on. Adam O'Brien was saying that it's probably looking like the season, but they're not ruling it out. So if Lucas is locked in at centre, I don't want to touch him. Yeah, I'd much prefer for more, and he's a guy that I could be looking at myself if the money works. I'm not too sure on it, but I actually don't hate that at all.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. Don't mind it. Especially just the dual flexibility as well.
While we're on topic, Lucas' job security is 100% at centre. It's not going anywhere. But best out for almost a year, and you've got that versatility.
And look, I'm talking about cheaper players here, but Dane Gagai as well. I don't know whether he's on your list, but I don't.
No, he's not on mine. He's not on mine. But I don't hate it at all. I just prefer another Knights back player that we'll talk about.
Cool. That's my list, mate. McLean, safe. Stone Street, bit spicy, but seems like he's got the role for at least 4 weeks. But Taruva's probably my pick out of the lot if you want a bit of that Penrith backline. You're looking a bit more expensive, though. You're looking at probably more of an upgrade from Ronnie. So who are you looking at?
Yeah. Just so I've broken them into categories. I've broken them into if you've got 50K in the bank, if you've got 100K in the bank, or if you've got unlimited budget, which is always nice. So for the 50K in the bank price range, I've got 2 guys. I've got Brian Kelly. He takes on the Broncos at home, the Sharks away. Broncos at home, Sharks at home, St. George away, Roosters at home, Newcastle away, Penrith away. I've got Greg Marzu in there as well. Takes on Panthers away, but then takes on the Tigers at home, Sharks away, Rabbitohs away, Titans at home, Dolphins at home. There are 2 50K guys. Then if you've got a little bit more cash to spend, we move into the Joe Manu, who you also had. I did brush over him because I was going to touch on him as well. Has the Dolphins away this week, the bye, Parramatta at home, the Titans away, the Raiders at home, and the Rabbitohs away in round 27. Then this is probably a next week purchase, but it is still Ruben Garrick. That Manly draw is still very good. Does have the bye this week, which he was out anyway. Has Canberra away, New Zealand at home, the Tigers away, the Dogs away, and the Sharks away. And then my unlimited budget guys, Jacob Carraz, the Raiders at home, the Dragons away, the Dolphins at home, the Warriors away, Manly at home, the Cowboys at home. That is a very, very nice draw, which also does feed into your Josh Adokar play there as well. And Brian To'o, new West Tigers icon, Brian To'o. Knights at home, Parramatta away, Melbourne at home, Raiders away, Rabbitohs at home, Titans at home. And I've kindly ranked these ones for you guys in terms of my preference. So at number 1, I do have Jacob Carraz. I know he's expensive, but if you've got the cash at center, at wing, put him at lock, playing wherever, he'll still average 70. He's unreal. I actually have Brian Kelly at number 2. I think he's got really good base, really good attacking potential with this draw. Plays, 3 of his next 6 games at home, and the away games, one of them is against the Dragons, one of them is against the Knights. And does play Penrith in 27, which looks scary, but it's going to be probably a Penrith that's resting half their players. So, and the Titans, I don't think Des Hasler's a coach that's just going to roll over and give up meaningless games. I think he's going to play to win all of them. 100%. Number 3 and 4, I've got Greg Marzhew, Brian To'o. Marzhew just simply at the price, 580k. And Brian To'o, that Penrith draw, we'll talk on it later in the episode when we rank the draws home, but it is pretty good. Then 4 and 5, we've got Garrick and Manu, both right side centers that I don't mind as a play either. But yeah, my top 2 would be Carraz and Brian Kelly.
I like it. It kind of feeds into my Josh Addo-Carr. Maybe you're talking me into Josh Addo-Carr here, which is dangerous territory.
Oh, right. I'm actually thinking about it.
You know what? It could be fun. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to play Supercoach and have fun. And Josh Addo-Carr is fun. So, and also the Bulldogs are playing good footy. Like the amount of work that Carraz is getting through is awesome. Like I've had him since round 9. And he's been elite. I think he's had like 1 bad score since I've owned him. So,
like plays some pretty good matchups. As I said, Raiders, Dragons, Dolphins, Warriors, Manly, North Queensland, and plays 4 games at home out of the next 6. And the 2 away games are St. George, which is whatever, it's a Sydney trip. And then, New Zealand's not great. But, that's the thing. If I like Brian Kelly, got to like Lofi Khan-Pereira as well. Dolphins playing some really good attacking footy. So chuck him there in the mix as well. I love this part of the season when we're talking about these under-owned guys as well.
Yeah, this is fun. This is where you can set yourself apart on the run home as well and help you probably win some cash comps. Ian Johnson, why not get Critter if you want a Dogs back? Just the price for me for Critter is just
vibes aren't as high, but also doesn't have Critter's not scoring you 160. Addo-Carr is. That's the thing for me.
Yeah, fair.
In that list, mate, we did mention Greg Marzhew, and he's pretty high up. He's my 3rd best player in that thing, and for good reason. Everyone's favorite self-loathing Twitter account, Jackson Hastings, has been dropped, and there's been mixed reports he's being sent to Leeds and not being sent to Leeds or whatever, but he's been dropped, which means only good things we would imagine for one Kalen Ponga.
Yeah, well, I mean, he should kick goals, shouldn't he? So we would like to think, I think there was a question in the chat here, whether it be Gagai or KP. I'd like to think it's going to be KP, considering KP kicked pretty much all of last year and at the start of this season before he got injured. So, that's KP to the moon in round 23, I think it is. Yep, round 23 against the Tigers. We're talking about him potentially this week, and I would just wait. If I've got a fullback I need to sell, I'd just wait. 106 break even against the 4th best team against fullbacks and the 5th best team against centre wings. Now you ask why centre wings important? Well, a lot of his try assists and attack is going to come to both his wingers, which is why Marzhew ranked 3rd. If he didn't have the Penrith this week, he could be pushing 1 or 2. But next week you could get him at 620, 630. And what I think is probably the fullback 3 for the run home. I've got Turbo at 1, Teddy at 2, and then probably KP at 3. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, if anything, like if you didn't have KP, I think if you didn't have 2 gun fullbacks, I'd be doing whatever I could potentially to get KP in. Obviously not this week against Penrith, but it could be next week. Hello, Matrix. Welcome.
Hey guys, how are we?
Yeah, good.
Good.
All right. Hamish Hunter. How much
you like
my washing basket?
Yeah, mate. It's good to see that you're in the mood as well. There's a 3-way washing basket.
We get a full picture of the washing basket.
Wait, where'd it go? There we go.
Love it. There we go. All right. We've all got washing baskets now. We're ready to go.
So just talking on Lucas and how he may affect KP and Greg. I don't think it's too much. He's an edge back rower. He runs a good line. Had great attack. We were talking about this in the preseason. He had 1 try and 2 line breaks in 4 games last year. He definitely knows how to find the line. And Bradman Best is not a notable ball player either. KP generally either hits him short or uses him as a decoy. So I think the presence there of Lucas isn't actually going to hurt Greg Marzhew too badly.
Yeah, it's like the cutout ball, isn't it? across the centre. So it doesn't usually come into play too much for KP and for Marju, especially from last year. So, and I mean, Bradman Best, we need to remember also is not a passing centre at the best of times. So I think, yeah, I don't think there's any change in Best being there or Lucas, to be honest. You probably wait on Ponga, I think, is probably the consensus.
I think you jump all over him next week if you need it. If you don't have Turbo and Teddy, I'd be moving heaven and earth to get KP next week.
What do you reckon, Matty? Agree?
Yeah, KP, the players to get him next week. I definitely don't think Lucas hurts KP. I don't think it hurts Marju. But KP's the guy you want. Greg's proven that he's got that low floor, much like an AJ or a DWZ and all those blokes. So.
Yeah. Before we move on, Matrix, I just want to get your thoughts. Braino and I are heavily considering Josh Adokar.
Is he going to leave? He's going to walk out. Okay, good. No, that's just him going to get a beer because he feels parched before he talks so passionately about Josh Adokar. So that's fair enough. We'll let him talk about Josh Adokar when he gets back.
Talking about other Queensland players that didn't play this year. Cam Munster's back, baby.
Yeah.
Oh.
How do you feel about it, Matty? You can have your say first. You've had a bit of time off. Munster back. You were tempted to go early on the phone earlier today. Talk me through it.
Well, I was also tempted to go Jamal Fogarty in that same conversation, but Cam Munster. I'm all in. I've got to make some moves at some stage. I'm presuming. Sorry, kids have been and basketball have been keeping me busy. I'm presuming that one Cody Walker did not get named.
No, he's named. He's good.
Oh, he's named. Yeah, I might not go Munster then. That's a luxury trade, but that's what I was going to do. If Galvin or Cody Walker were out, yeah, Munster would be my guy in. Massive pod. He's only 2.1% owned. So,
a lot of the chat's giving you some congratulations for the new child. The celebration of you raw dogging it with your partner.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've done it twice ever. So yeah,
at least
got two kids.
At least twice.
Success rate, 100%. Good strike rate for you. Yeah.
That's what I love. You tell your parents or friends, we're trying for a baby. You're just admitting that you're just fucking raw on the red.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
and then like your in-laws are like, "Oh, that's fantastic news."
No, I just creamed your daughter. What are you talking about?
Oh dear. Yes, so Cam Munster now will wait. I mean, look, his break even's 150 something. So I think logically it makes sense to wait. But also, I mean, the average is 60 odd against the Dragons. It's not like it's an amazing matchup. Something that you really need to jump on.
His matchup next week's actually much better. He averages 86 against the Bunnies, but I've put in my notes here with Munster, if you don't buy him this week, I wouldn't buy him until around 25. Averages 66 against St. George, as we just said. Big break even. First game back with good minutes. Obviously came off the bench last week. If this is 30-10 with 15 minutes to go, does he even play the full 80?
No, not with Wishart on the bench. No chance.
No.
I mean, it also can't. Wishart can probably play that whole backup to Harry Grant role too. So I think that minutes are there for Wishart regardless, depending on how the game's playing out. But with Wishart on the bench, I think there's every chance he could play 55, 60, which is still fine. It's still enough for Munster to score 100. But then you're still losing cash. And then he's also got to play the Panthers in a couple. In 24.
I'd just buy him in 25.
24.
I'd buy him in 25. That his break even would probably bottom out. He'd probably get in for mid 500s. Probably have a couple of games back in his legs, and I reckon he'll be playing 80 at the back end of the season. Could be a great pod for your head-to-heads for the run home.
Yeah,
I think that's the time. If you want to jump off Galvin, could be 25 straight into Munster.
Yeah, if you've got some trades left over, that's an awesome trade. Even we talked a little bit about Galvin and the Tigers draw and all that kind of stuff, and whether you could still sell him off the back of that. And look, I don't hate to sell, but I think it makes sense to hold. But if you've got a luxury trade or two up your sleeve and you're not too hurt this week, a Galvin to Munster, literally sideways, could be an awesome play for the run home if points are your priority. So, guys, Cam Murray he's back from his 2-week suspension from running in on the melee that was the State of Origin 3. And
savage attack that's worthy of the suspension.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
it was.
He deserved more. I expected him to be gone for longer.
I just thought you should just make New South Wales forfeit the game after that. It's just so savage.
Yeah, exactly.
Tough. Bloody Queensland, soft Queenslanders over here asking for piggybacks. It's all right.
Rules are the rules.
Yeah. 523K, Cam Murray, which I never thought I'd ever say.
So hot, man.
He is owned by 43 teams in the top 10%. Like,
that's hot.
We're talking 15, 16,000 teams, and he is owned by 43 of them. That is just next level. The only game he's played on the edge this year, he scored 58. I think it was 58. Yes, 50. Yeah. 50, sorry, it was 60, and 58 of it was in base.
Yeah.
So
nice.
There's like a ton of attack there for Cam Murray on an edge as well in comparison to being in the middle of the field. He's not going to – I think they like Keon too much in the 13. Keon
at 13's been fucking unreal. Like, when Keon was in 13 back in like round 16, I was like, this is just, while my Murray's out. But like, if I knew he would have held it, man, he's been unreal.
100%. He would have been a great buy about 6 to 8 weeks ago. I just wasn't sure he was going to hold the 13. But Matrix, Cam Murray, like, I know that we've probably got our 2RF solidified right now, but if you were looking for, to try and get your 2RF5 or someone like that, Cam Murray's got to be your guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, legit, like, he would have been, if he didn't get suspended, he would be very highly owned, I'd say. People were setting up their second row forwards. But if you've got the trades, if you're unhappy with some of the guys that you've got, legit, like, let's just get him into your team. I would, if I wouldn't have like 6 fantastic guys. And I just don't want to play 3 second row forwards in every week in my reserves.
Ian thinks your time is worth $3.
Yeah, it's probably right, to be honest. I think I've had 8 hours sleep in about the last 72 hours. Don't really need it, to be honest. There's been Formula 1 on. There's been college football 25. There's been the Olympics. There's been a lot to do.
Cold beers in the fridge.
Braino, obviously, I'm not too sure if the pod is aware. If I make this known, I'm very apologetic. But your wife is also expecting. Have you timed yours up with the release of GTA 6?
When's GTA 6 coming out? Is the question.
I think it's midway through next year.
Fucking hell. I swear, every single time I look for a release date, it's just not there. But you know what I have done? I've timed it perfectly so that it is like peak summer, so it's hot. I'm not getting up to change nappies at 2 a.m. and it's fucking freezing cold, 3 degrees. And also there will be NBA basketball on. There'll be NFL football on. There will also be BBL on at the same time. So I'll be able to just watch cricket, football and basketball whenever I want.
It's gonna be hot as fuck. Your missus is not gonna want to go anywhere. You can just sit at home for 3 months and do absolutely fuck all.
100%. And you know what? I'll just podcast BBL Supercoach and it's going to be great. And the NBL is going to be on too. I'm just going to have so much going on and I don't have to leave my lounge. So yeah, timed it perfectly.
Back to Cam Murray. Obviously, 80 minutes on the edge, I think, is so hot. Like, I loved Matto last week. I love Murray even more. I put here expect like a 55 floor with like a 90 ceiling. Like, I'm not expecting the 70. When's my but I can't even look after my fucking self, let alone another child. I don't know. 2 plus 2 equals 4.
Are you saying that your partner's had good practice by looking after you this whole time?
Mate.
Maybe
my partner's a midwife and like is desperate, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to make ice. I'm fucked. Like, I'm also. I don't think people realize I'm so much younger than you two.
You look older.
I know. I'm only 26, but I've got the hairline of a 45-year-old man.
That's why I wear a hat.
I'm 19.
Just the beer's age. I wouldn't expect, like, don't go buying Murray at 530 thinking you're getting 2020, 2021 Cam Murray in the middle, averaging 70. But having a great floor, as you said, 60 points all in BP. I think he's a great 2 or 4 or 5. But we know how good he can be on an edge. Like when he plays for Australia, when he plays for New South Wales, he's so good on an edge. And Keon, I don't think Keon affects him too much. I'm seeing a lot of chat about selling Keon, but like Keon has won the jersey. Like I know that Souths are missing so many edges, but like I don't think it affects Murray. I don't think it affects Keon either. And normally every week we do our pod, like our best, sub 5% owned player. Like we all agree it's Cam Murray this week, but we had a segment on him, so we want to touch on him. But yeah, I love him this week.
Yep. I'm all aboard if you can make it work. I've got my 2RF's fine. I'm set. I'm not trading any of my guys, but if you got a spot there, I think Cam Murray's the logical option. Now, quick one for you. Just to maybe a quick summary, Josh, I'll start with you. If you didn't get Gus Crichton or Nathan Cleary last week, right, and you faded and Crichton didn't hurt you, but Cleary would have. Do you bite the bullet and get both now? Like, if you can get both and cash isn't an issue, are you getting Crichton and Cleary this week?
I mean, yeah, if you've got a spare 1.5 million sitting up your ass, of course you are. You want Crichton for the run home. You want Cleary. Posted some cool stats today about Cleary and Edwards. Edwards averages over 100 without Cleary. Cleary averages 140 without Edwards. I think we just pray for the Supercoach gods that Edwards is just rested until 26, 27. We get a few more weeks out of Cleary. But, mate, you said today that the Knights average the most points conceded against halfbacks. Yes,
this is the week you want him. We'll get to captain segment soon, but here's a hint. It's Nathan Cleary. They concede the most points to not only halfbacks but 5'8" as well. So just playmakers in general just run rampant in games against them. So
they also have a child. They also have a child at fullback, so the ball's just not getting sent out the back this week at all. The ball's not going past Cleary at all.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I think Nathan Cleary is now, you've got to get him. I think if you faded him last week, cop your medicine and buy him this week. I saw he is currently 98.5% owned in the top 1% of teams. So there's still 1.5% that aren't convinced, and he should be 100%. Should be 100% owned. So
the top 1% is what, around 1,500 teams?
Yeah.
Far out, man. You're a brave man to be sitting in the top 1,500 because they're active players. Like, it's not like they're dead accounts. Like, they're active teams that are just must be Penrith haters.
Gotta be. But look, I can understand and I can get around just waiting on Gus another week and getting him after the bye if you can make that work. But I think Cleary is a must. You've got to get Cleary this week. Now, the next section is probably one of the most sought after or most requested sections in terms of teams to target for the run home. Now, we reference our draw on the screen all the time. We pop it up throughout the show all the time based on Supercoach conceded points to certain teams. Which teams are good matchups you'll see in the dark green, and the ones that are the bad matchups in red are the teams that don't concede many Supercoach points. In fact, the bottom four or least conceded Supercoach point teams in the Storm, the Bulldogs, the Sharks, and the Roosters and Penrith. Sorry, the 5 teams. So we'll bring that up to reference. But Josh, you've done a bit of a deep dive. Talk to us about the teams that you're probably going to want to target for the run home.
Yes, I have 5 teams. This is courtesy of the NRL SC Stats, which is our Bible that we open 47 times a week. This is pretty much just a formula that's points, NRL SC points scored plus the points allowed by the opposition, and then just divided by their scaling, which takes into account the color schemes that Braino put up before. So the top team is actually the Cronulla Sharks, Matty. They've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs at home. They've got the Titans away, the Knights at home, St. George away, Warriors at home, Manly away. Pretty handy. I mean, that's why a lot of people are looking at Braden Trindle. A lot of people are looking at, Kailero still. It's why Britton Decora probably isn't a sell. I was looking at selling him on Sunday, and then a few very kind people on social media quickly told me that it wasn't the move. Looking into the data, mate, they've got the best draw for the run home.
Yeah, lucky that I have, Nico and Mulitalo then, hey. You just got to get a slice of that pie somehow. I don't have to do any trades for that because I've got Unicaras. I really wanted out of Kailero maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, but ended up holding on to him for that last buy round. And I'm thinking he's definitely a hold now, especially when you read out those stats outside the draw. So, look, do I want Trindle? Probably, but I think I'll look elsewhere. I think, your Iros and your Nicaras are just definitely plays through this period, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned my lesson about benching Euro last week. Braino, we're just saying the Sharks, they've got the best draw for the run home. Souths at home, Gold Coast away, Knights at home, St. George away, Newcastle, Warriors at home, Manly away. And then, brings into account Braden Trindle. I think if you are looking at bringing in a half this week, he's probably the one to look at. Euro becomes a hold, and guys like Nicara, who I thought were sells. And as I said before, there's a lovely, kind people on social media pointing out to me how good their draw was, and we did some investigating and realized it's probably the best for the run home. So the Sharks, for me, rank first. Penrith, they actually rank second in this little formula that SA Stats has put up. They've got Newcastle at home this week, Parramatta away, Melbourne at home, the Raiders away, Rabbitohs at home, Titans at home. So 4 games at home out of the next 6, and the 2 away ones are Parramatta and the Raiders, which are 2 pretty ideal matchups. The problem, boys, with the Penrith Panthers is round 27 against the Titans. Who knows who suits up? That's the only concern that we have.
For me, I'm probably, based on the back of this, avoiding rep players from the Panthers, because I think there's every chance, as great as To'o is and a guy that you probably want, he'll probably outscore you for most of the guys at centre wing for 4 or 5 rounds, but then just that final round, you're going to get hurt already. Do you want to hold more guys if you've got 2 or 3 Warriors players and then you hold a ton of rep players from the Panthers and even the Roosters potentially, that's going to hurt you in round 27 if you're an overall player. If you're head-to-head, doesn't matter, I don't think. But if you're an overall player, round 27 matters a lot. So that's why I like Taruba. He won't get rested.
I was going to say a couple of guys I don't think will get rested is Taruba. I think Hot Scott's another one. I actually really like Scott Sorensen as a buy. Luai, I don't think Luai probably gets rested either. I think they probably plays as well.
They just drive him into the ground before he goes to the Tigers, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. They'll probably play. They'll probably play Brian Toto prop forward just to make sure his mileage is low before he heads to the Tigers. But no, like Penrith had the second best draw. The third best, we mentioned it before when we talked about KP. It's the Newcastle Knights. Penrith this week, which is an ideal. I think if you take that out, they actually rank probably 1 or 2. But the Tigers the week after that at home, the Sharks away, Rabbitohs at home, Titans at home, Dolphins at home. So they have 3 home games to finish out the season. And McDonald Jones, we know, can be absolutely rocking when it comes to there. And the Knights are actually in 11th, so they're pushing for finals too. And if the Knights are in striking distance in the final 3 rounds, those 3 games at McDonald Jones can be absolutely going off.
I'm all for it. We've been talking about Ponga from round 23 for so long, so nothing changes there. 23 through to 27, they've got a really nice little 5-run stretch there to finish, and they've got plenty to play for, like you said. So yeah, I'm all for it.
You can just stack up on that left-hand side. Marzu, KP as well. Just some guys to really target. I mean, Dane Gagai we were talking about before as well. But the Knights have an excellent draw outside of this week. The 4th best team is the Sydney Roosters. The Dolphins are home this week. The bye next week, so you take out that bye, it ranks them much higher, obviously scaled down because they do miss a game completely. Like if you're looking at someone like Tedesco, he could miss 27 and, the bye as well. So just worth note. So yeah, the Roosters have the Dolphins away, the bye, Parramatta at home, the Titans away, the Raiders at home, and South Sydney at home, which is always South Sydney away, which is always a bloodbath. I feel like those games are always 36-30 point affairs.
Yeah. It's I think maybe the deterrent is the bye coming up for the Roosters. Like they've got so many good options, but do you want to get them this week and know that you're going to cop a bye in 2 weeks? So that's probably the hesitancy.
That's why I ranked Manu 5th in terms of my 6th in terms of my center wings as Mulitalo replacements. And finally, the 6th best team with the run home, or the 5th best team, I should say. The reason why, I was advocating for Turbo so hard for the previous, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, have the bye this week, but the Raiders, Warriors, Tigers, Bulldogs, Sharks. Apart from the Bulldogs game in 26, that's a pretty good run home for Manly and Turbo. Taking out last week is in absolutely flying form.
Yep. All for it, Matty. Anything to add?
No, look, there's plenty of guys to target from those teams. But yeah, you just got to be super aware with the Roosters of that bye. I'm still probably nearly looking at Manu though. I see Joey Manu fan in the chat. So still nearly looking at Manu. But IJ had a really good question. Please tell me that the Tigers have a top 5 run home. Johnny B does. Johnny B does because he's got that direct flight home.
The Tigers have a great run home, and it's the run home that you look at whoever's playing the Tigers.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
The run home to look at.
Yeah, it's like Mad Monday for the next 6 Mondays for the Tigers because the season's been long gone for a while now, so it doesn't matter. But
I wish I had a contract at the Titans then. I love Mad Mondays.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Mad Monday, Cavalier.
Yep. Good times. Guys, that'll kind of get things started, I guess. We're only an hour in. Don't you worry. Strap in. There's plenty coming. But we've got to cover the squeeze of the week. And, of course, the squeeze of the week is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze every week. And for those of you that are sick of cold coffees, warm beers, and breaking glass bottles. Then the Standard Squeeze have you covered. You can get yourself a little 4-in-1 here on screen. Mine's got it see-through because of my green screen. That's kind of cool. But it'll keep your beers nice and cold and your coffee's nice and hot. Matrix has got his little combo pack there on the screen, you can see, and you squeeze the tub and it fills up a 30 ml little chamber there, and you can track how much you've drank. And because Matrix has filled it up, he's going to have to drink it, which is, protocol on the podcast. And mind you, it's taken him nearly a year to get through that bourbon. So shout out.
Yeah,
shout out.
not a real spirits drinker. It gives me the sweats.
But you can get yourself 15% off on the standardsqueeze.com by using the code IFS15. So go and hit up the Standard Squeeze and support those that support us. And we're giving away a combo pack or a 4-in-1 to the winner of the league every week. And for round 21, it goes to Stephen, coach of the Beefy T, with a 1662. I can naturally assume that he captained Cleary, had probably all of the big guns that scored massive. So congrats to Stephen this week for the 1662. Huge. And Quentin is still leading the league, coach of the Dead Hand Gang. He's in 6th overall and 38 points clear of Rowan, who's in 2nd. So the gap is narrowing just a little bit there. So Quentin's got to hang on for dear life for the final 6 rounds to take out the Supercoach Champions ring that goes out to the winner. Josh, Bundy Mixer has been fun. NRLW started last week, and I'm surprised at how much I've got into it, because last year I played and the year before I played, but I didn't end up finishing the season because I continued to forget to change my team. This year I'm on top of it. We're round 1 in. I'm coming 450th out of 20-odd thousand teams. I'm in the mix. But tell us how you're going. How's Bundy Mixer looking this week for you? Any kind of tips on who people should pick?
Yeah, I actually didn't do too bad last week. I think I scored like 2 points or 2 or 3 points below you, which wasn't too bad. Updates got me well. Who to pick? Good question. Well, 93% of people have picked Nathan Cleary, and for good reason. Scored 111 last week, which for anyone that doesn't play fantasy /mixer is absolutely unreal. And then looking at matchups, a couple of ones I'm looking at. I mean, our girl Tegan Berry. I think the Dragons play the Cowboys, and she just shits out points for fun. I had big melee from the Broncos in center, but I think I'm just going to go back to Kelly from the Roosters. She seems to just hit out points for fun at fullback. One I got right last week was Keon in the back row. A lot of people went for Feeder. A lot of people went Cam McInnes. But, I've had Keon Colomatungi in fantasy for the better part of 8 weeks, and I know how good he's been. So I'm going to stick with him. I'm actually going to stick with Torfer as well. My try-scoring beast in the prop forward for the girls. I think the strategy for me, I don't know about you boys, but like halfback will just be Cleary every week. I think the men's game, the 80 minutes is going to give some of those forwards just a little bit more points. So your back rowers and your hookers, I think I'm going to go men in those. I think my format's going to be very similar week in, week out. I think it'll be prop forward as a woman, center as a woman, fullback as a woman, just because the lower minutes, I want the bigger minutes for, your big point scorers in your back row, your hooker and your halfback.
How'd you go, Matrix, with Mixer last week?
Oh, I mean, I didn't have Nathan Cleary because I just thought, fuck, everybody's got Cleary. So I went Fogarty, who got 74 points.
Not too bad, actually. That's pretty good.
Yeah, which was all right. But I captained Hammer. And I went Clydesdale, Hale, and Hufunga from the Broncos. And I had Damien Cook at hooker as well. I just expected some games to go a different way. I expected Hammer to have a blinder. I expected Cook. I just thought, to start the year, because it's not always, and I think I brought up to bring this in, it's just not always my thing, but I just thought, you know what, if I'm going to have a good run at it, everybody's going to get Cleary. I've captained Cleary in fantasy and everything else. If he goes bad, I just don't want to be ruined at every single corner. But yeah, no, Captain Hale with the 50, Captain Hamiso. I don't even know how many points that got me. I don't really point scoring.
Probably not enough.
Yeah, probably not. I'm ranked 5,500th. I only scored 368. So
yucky. I'll give you a tip. In fantasy. Don't
a
captain,
tip.
Just a tip. Don't captain attack reliant players. I know it's boring. We just captain Cleary.
I know.
Oh, also,
I know, and I've captained him in fantasy, so
I picked Damien Cook as well, and I was just fucking watching a horror show as he missed about 4 kicks that were about 12 points.
It doesn't matter if you're a goal kicker if you can't kick him.
Oh,
No,
mate,
exactly. Get negatives if you can't kick him.
I messaged before you tell me your team, Braino. I messaged you during the game. I was like, "What? Damien Cook's kicking since when's this?" And you were like, "Oh yeah, because Cody Walker sucks." And then just Cook proceeded to fucking shake.
Yeah, he also sucks. Yeah. So there's a curse over there with the kicking tee at the Rabbitohs. But for me, this week I scored I think 546 or something last week. So this week I'm looking at Lauren Brown from the Titans at hooker. So she's starting halfback, getting all of the kicks in play as the halfback for the Titans, but is available at hooker in mixer. So
I wondered why she was
she's
so
very
high.
popular. Very popular for a reason. She scored 50-odd last week. So I'll be picking her again at hooker this week. I'm picking Payne Haas because they concede the most points to the Titans. Concede the most points. The matchup's kind of nice. I'm looking at Hudson Young this week because, funnily enough, weirdly, right, he did score well last week, but just weirdly, what doesn't make sense is that the Bulldogs they actually concede the most. We're talking Supercoach points here, but they concede the most Supercoach points to 2RFs this year. Like, they don't concede points anywhere else, but they leak points to 2RFs, which is bizarre. So I'm going to take a punt on Huddy Young this week. Cleary's a no-brainer. Isabel Kelly got named at 5'8" this week, which is interesting. So she's not at fullback. She's at 5'8". Yeah, Samantha Bremner is at fullback for the Roosters. So interesting one to watch there. I don't think it really hurts her too much. It's kind of like when Joey Manu goes from fullback to 5'8". I don't think it really matters. So I'd probably just pick Kelly anyway. I think she's still good enough. And then I'm picking Tamika Upton, I think, this week for the Knights. I think she's got that Roosters matchup out of the way. I'll back her in to she scared me watching her. It's like watching Reece Walsh as a non-owner. So
she does for the Broncos, and the Broncos looked dog shit as well.
They weren't good. I was expecting the Eels to be shit, really, which is why I targeted the melee matchup. But yeah, it's I don't know where Matrix has gone.
Buddy Mixer Chat sent Matrix into. Oh, I also scored a lot more than I thought. I scored 565. I think Torfa got a fair few updates. I think it finished her with like 44 points, and she finished on like 67. So she actually got a big uptick.
Happy days. So you can get into the Bundy Mixer League. We're just going to keep it open the whole time.
So I was just sending Ian Johnson for 10 in the bin there.
Oh, good. Gone missing again like the Broncos. That deserves 10 minutes in the bin, Ian. So fair enough. All right. Now, let's talk about Pod Watch because there are a few trade targets, and obviously we're looking for pods at the moment because it is the run home and it is fun. So let's throw out a pod each for the run home.
Target acquired.
Josh, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, as we said before, I think all three of us would have Cam Murray at the top of our pod watch, but it's boring. I've actually mentioned one before. He was number 2 in my Mulitalo replacements. It's Brian Kelly, only owned by. I have the stats in our group chat. Let me quickly go and find them. Oh, goodbye, Matrix again. Brian Kelly, 3.1% owned inside the top 1%, 588k. As I said, he's got that really good draw home. Broncos at home, Sharks at home, St. George, Roosters at home, Newcastle, Penrith, and that Penrith side that could be pretty heavily depleted with resting. So, Titans are playing really good footy, which doesn't look good for my futures bet when I had them at $8 for the spoon. I think that's all but dead and gone. But yeah, they're looking really good and they're playing good attacking footy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. The Titans' draw is tough. So that's the only thing maybe deterring me and just, yeah.
They've got one tough game against the Roosters in 25. Apart from that, Broncos are conceding a shit ton of points. Sharks are now ranked in the lime green. St. George suck. Yeah, Roosters at home is not fun, but Newcastle and then Penrith in that depleted Penrith side.
Yeah, look, I get it. I mean, I'm looking at it here, and I mean, they've got 3 of the 5 hardest matchups for the run home. They've got Sharks, the Roosters, and Penrith. And then you've got the Dragons who haven't been leaky, and the Broncos can turn up on their day. So I don't know. I just don't love it.
Okay, Josh Adokar, sorry.
Mate, Josh Adokar is the pick, all right? No, I'm not. He's not my pod anyway. So you're
doubling down. What a fraud.
No, Sania Taruva is my pod this week. He's owned by 0.7% of teams. I think he's the guy in this back line that isn't named Brian To'o that can score 100+. I think Casey McLean's a bit boring for me. I still want to have someone with Ronnie Mulitalo upside, and I feel like, at the start of the year, they were going to Ruva's edge and to Ruva's wing every single time. We were talking about the fact that they moved To'o off the right wing back to the left wing this year, and then the ball just started to go to Taruva on the right for the first 6-7 rounds. So, if with Cleary back, obviously the right edge is probably going to start humming a little bit more. And if you need someone who has that upside, I kind of prefer Taruva to most of the other options. But I mean, we talked about Josh Adokar and the fact that we love it, and there's heaps more vibes with Josh Adokar than there is Taruva. But future Tiger, Sania Taruva, is my pod of the week this week. Matrix, what have you got?
Look, I am actually high on Jamal Fogarty. I've brought him in on fantasy, but of course you do get kick meters and everything for that as well. He's only 560k. He just has an awful draw, which I suppose is the reason that he's not very well owned. Actually, probably the reason is he plays for Canberra. Nobody watches Canberra games. Sorry, Brent. And also, he's been injured for most of the year. But I just think he made such a difference to this Canberra team last week when he come back. I actually, now that I'm so off the Broncos and I've taken off those rose tinted glasses or maroon tinted glasses, I actually kind of back Canberra to make the 8. And Jamal Fogarty at 550k. If Galvin or one of those guys didn't get named, yeah, it was definitely Fogarty or Munster. Nobody owns Fogarty. If you're 20,000th, roll the dice.
So if you got a choice to get Cleary or Fogarty, you're saying just get Fogarty for the sake of it?
I'm saying get Cleary, but you've got 2 trades.
So does that mean you trade Fogarty in and then trade him straight back out and get Cleary? You only use one trade then because you're doing it in the same week. So for me, I don't think I could pick him over Cleary. But
it's more like picking him over a Cody Walker or a Matt Burton. Would you really be surprised if somebody like Fogarty outscored a Matt Burton for the rest of the year, a Cody Walker than the rest of the year? If you've got a Jai Gray, maybe you could move to Fogarty. You've got 4 halves.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think anybody else besides Hughes or Cleary, I'd trade to Fogarty. If you've got Cleary and Hughes there's no point. But
I can't believe at the start of the year when I was like, I'm going to give these guys my time and my platform to help them grow, that we're fucking discussing Jamal Fogarty and Josh Adokar in round 2.
Hey, throw Hudson Young in there. We can talk more about Hudson Young if you'd really
like. Huddy. Fuck. I would love to have some Huddy chat.
Yeah, we can't.
I would. Josh, to be fair, this is my last pod, so you can have all the Huddy chat that you want, fucking next week and moving forward.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Have you heard me sing "Forever Young"? You will next week.
Many times.
So there's the pods. There's the pods for this week. We'll track them all as we go. We were all right last week. My Hammer pod didn't really play out the way that I thought it was going to against the Titans, but your Ryan Madison pod was pretty solid last week.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you also gave Dylan Walker his flowers. I think he got high 60s, and Matto got mid 60s. So, yeah, good stuff. And then obviously, Cam Murray's our pick this week, but mine is Brian Kelly, who I definitely think will outscore Sania Taruva. Just put a bolt bet on that.
Will he outscore Fogarty though?
It's not really the same position, so it's fucking.
I'm just asking the question.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see combined how we go on the run home, but we should move on and talk about captains for round 22.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
Is there any point?
No, not really. I mean, we can talk VC and the fact that you probably need a 200 VC to be able to actually loop this week.
Mate, even if my VC gets 200, I'm not fucking looping.
You've been cursed. You've cursed the loop. Val versus the Tigers. He scored 136 against the Tigers last time he played him earlier in the year. Now, it is at Leichhardt, but the Tigers have been known to be pretty poor at home as well as away. Back end of the season.
And everywhere.
And every location. Nothing to play for the Tigers as well. A bit beaten up. There's some issue there, I think. And also, Val is not running it Justin Olam. He is running it. Who's it going to be? Ale Marlow, potentially, is in its centre this week next to Staines. So we could see some ball there on that edge.
Say that 10 times faster.
No, thanks. Talangi and Val could be good though this week.
I think we could chuck up all these options we want, but we're all just going to default back to the boring 2. It's just Teddy and the Cleary, isn't it?
Kind of. No, I'm going to go Val.
Boring.
I'm just on Val. I'm going to do Val VC into Cleary captain. So for anybody who confused, I've got here captains ? Cleary versus the Knights Cleary versus the Knights, Cleary's versus the Knights, and lastly, we've got Cleary versus the Knights. So there is no point going against him.
I like Cleary versus the Knights out of those three.
Yeah.
I've had a real hard think about it, and I'm going to go Cleary versus the Knights on that one.
Are you looking at potentially Harry Grant against the Dragons? Is your VC again, mate?
No, thank you.
It saved you last week. It did
fucking save me big time. Absolutely. No, my last 2 VCs have actually saved me big time because I've got off the player that did well and ended up taking the captaincy because I couldn't take the lose.
I'm picking my VC too well.
You are. Yeah.
Like not well enough, but like not shit enough either. It's fucking
What
horrendous.
you should do is you should just pick Chanel Harris-Tavita versus the Eels or something like that, just so that you're locked in on your captain. Or don't even pick a VC. Pick a VC in the last game of the week and just captain Cleary so you don't get tempted.
You should VC Hudson Young.
Buy Hudson Young.
No, because Hudson Young will score like 140. And it'll
he'll score like a double. He'll score like a double. He'll get like 131. My AE will get like 42. And I'll be like, fuck it, we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's. Captains wasn't much this week, but pretty obvious options. Let's get into the questions.
Unfortunately, captains won't be much for the rest of the fucking season either.
No, it'd be pretty boring. All right, question time.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
We have so many.
Mark. Yeah, we've got 23 that we've starred, and some are double up, so we'll cover them. But Mark kicks things off. Do I go May and Nicola to AFB and Haas with Finu as my front row forward 3 with the view to bring in Ponga next week and Gus the week after that?
What do you got? Fucking 16 trades? Jesus Christ.
If you got a lot of trades,
to be
Mark,
fair, I posted those exact trades on social media and got fucking rinsed for it. Like everyone was like, you can't trade Nicola. His draw is very good. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm probably now in the hold Nicola camp, but I'm definitely on the Haas camp. So we've already mentioned that I think Haas is the player of AFB as well.
Yeah, you might have missed that at the start of the pod. We were talking so much about Haas and AFB that people are wondering if we were going to talk about anything else in this episode. So you want to add your thoughts, Eddie?
Oh, I mean, I got in Haas and I'm fine with it because he can score 80 without scoring a try, and AFB can score 110 with 2. Yeah, he's more likely to score a try, but yeah, no, look, I'm happy with Haas. He's almost turned into a pod, to be honest.
Yeah, sub 40% owned, so good play.
But also on the rest of that, about Angus and KP, like we said, Angus is essential, and we like basically said if you don't have Turbo and Teddy, then yeah, Walsh fucking KP's next best.
Yep, we're deteriorating fast. We've got to get through these questions. Reece Gonzalez, who would be your top 4 centre wings for the run home? Good question.
Isaac Tungo.
So it's Aruba, Casey McLean, Brian Toto.
Yeah. No, I mean, Dom Young, Garrick, Karaz, and then take your pick on Toto or Mazu or Manu.
Anybody else to add to?
Or Val?
Yeah, I think that I would probably pull Garrick out and go Manu, Dom Young, Karaz, and Toto. I don't have Toto. I have Asako, but I've made my bed and I'm going to lie in it. So, do you want
to bolt a bet on total points now to the end of the season, Garrick versus Manu?
Oh, they both have a bye.
They do.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm on Garrick.
Lock it in, Eddie.
So for those of you that are new to the pod, Bolter Bet is a 4-pack of Bolter beer to the winner. So and Josh doesn't drink beer. So what are we going to send?
I've got half a case of Great Northerns, man. I'll drink, especially if it's free. Especially if it's Matrix money. Matrix money tastes good.
It does. You know, it is nice, especially Bolter money. Bolter Bet wins are like triple the currency as well, as they hit different Bolter bets.
Yeah. So just to recap, I'm on Garrick and my Matrix on Manu. Total points for the rest of the season.
I like it.
There's no bias to Manly, so no HAs for Garrick.
Fuck. Yeah, he can't get knocked out this week. That's a bonus. Adam S is double nuff at front row forward crazy. Got AFB and Tarpany, can slide up Finu or trade in a pinch. May's money can fund Blaze Talangi into Karaz. Now and then Stranger Galvin.
I'm very confused on this. So
there's a lot going on.
When he says double nuff, does he mean like bringing in 2 front row forward, or does he mean like having no bench?
Yeah,
having no bench is fine if you can slide Faino up. If you have like a Miles Martin and another Nuff, then that's fine because you've still got 3 really.
Yeah, I think that's okay considering you're never going to play your front row forward 3. And if you can slide Fainu up, then you've got that option to cover one of those guys if they're out. Well, you've got AFB in round 27, so you're going to have to cover that with Fainu anyway. So as long as you can make that move, that's fine. Daddy D's, any interest in Munster as a pod? We spoke about Munster a fair bit. Anything to add on Munster? Love it.
I think the smart play is in a week, but
hang on.
Do it this week for vibes.
Do you still have a boost left, do you? Because you're going to get Cleary, Foggy, and Munster all in the 1 week.
I went a week early on Cleary. Everybody else was tentative on Cleary, and I've had him for a couple of weeks.
He came back too.
Yeah. In fantasy and Supercoach, I've been all in on Cleary. Like, Cleary's the best footballer in the game.
Brain tried to scare us. Brain was like, "Oh, he's not general play kicking." Ivan said he's not going to do much kicking. Just scare tactics from the big podcasters as usual.
Yeah.
That's where you found me out again.
Plus, Alamotti got a broken fucking arm about 2 minutes in, and then Cleary started kicking after that. So
yeah, it was so good. Love it. To answer your question, we like Munster, but maybe next week. Jack Patton, not if it matters. What are your all-time highest ranked years? I know, Josh, you've got much more impressive ranks than us, so throw them out there to remind people that you're an elite supercoacher.
Okay. 59th in 2017. 62nd in 2019, and then 110th 2 years ago.
Very good. Matrix?
I actually know. It might be like 8,000th or something. I'm just here for the vibes mainly. I was actually a better NRL fantasy player, to be honest, back a few years ago. I think I had a top 1,000 finish, but yeah, I don't have it in front of me.
I'm that autistic.
I'm that screensaver.
I'm that autistic. I've got a year by year.
I've got a photo of my fucking kid, and you've got that.
Oh, that's not my lock screen. I'm not that degenerate, but no, I just keep it. Yeah. So yeah, I know I'm not ranked well this year, but I sometimes know what I'm talking about.
Got some runs on the board, you reckon? So that's fair. My best Supercoach rank's 343. I don't know why you blurred out. I think maybe Supercoach have blurred you out because you started talking about your rank. I'm not quite sure why it can't.
It's not KFC, it's TAB, man.
Yeah, there we go. 343 a couple of years ago, I think I came, which is my highest Supercoach rank, 1100th last year, and a top 1,000, I think 900th in 2019. And I've got a 17th finish in fantasy in 2015, back in the Corey Parker goal kicking days. Fuck, they were the days. They were good.
Nice.
And currently coming 78th in fantasy this year. So
nice.
Not too bad. Not too shabby. What else have we got? Rowan Leonard, Nickera and Azarko sells. I'd probably say Azarko is and Nickera isn't.
Correct.
No. Like, I get that Asako's a sell, but if you've got Asako, you've made your bed. Fucking lie in it. Like, he's 570k.
Yeah.
Let me bring the draw up. Let me bring the draw up very quick because
it doesn't matter. Dolphins are a top 4 team. Talk to anyone in Queensland,
bro. That's more red than fucking. That's more red than. I was gonna make an approach joke. That's so much red. Yeah, bro. It's fucking horrendous.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're the elite Dolphins.
Yeah. It's
like, everybody keeps telling me how good the Dolphins are in my DMs. Every time they lose, every time St. George win, every time the Dolphins win, I get messages. Jermaine Asako, like, must be a hold.
Off to Souths next year, you reckon, with Wayne? Because Wayne loves Azarko. Surely he's taking him with him and TPJ going over to Souths next year.
I'd low-key start with him, especially if he's on the left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would actually be quite tempting. Lachlan is asking, interested in our opinions for trades. Wishart is departing after a good stint, choosing between Sam Walker and Matt Burton. 6 trades left with
Jamal Fogarty, obviously.
That's not Fogarty. Fucking hell.
No, I'd take Walker just with the draw.
Yeah, I got Burton. I bought Burton 2 weeks ago. But I'd probably pick Walker now, personally.
Do you think the problem is, like, if you have a look up there and you've got Dom Young, Tedesco, Crichton, possibly a May, and looking at getting a Manu, that maybe you just get Matt Burton, which gives you the flexibility to get some of those other guys?
I wouldn't have more than 4 from one team.
And also the dual position for Matt Burton could be handy down the track depending on who your other 5'8" is. Like if you've got that flexibility there too, that could play out. If Cleary cops a rest, you're going to need to kind of shuffle things around. If your backup halfback, doesn't have duels, it could be tricky. But that's the way I'd go. I'd probably go Sam Walker unless you've got tons of Roosters. Rowan, we get the basket, but at what cost? We've lost the futon. The futon's still there. It's still there.
It's just hiding.
Yeah, you got washing up. It's washing day, so that's fine. Ian Johnson, can you tell me your trades so I can do the opposite, Josh?
So I started this because I think this is very slanderous. I have given very good advice this season. I just haven't followed it.
It's true.
Sorry,
and
who was it that was hyping up Turbo for about 6 weeks?
Yeah,
that's it. Who said Connor Watson was a good buy? Got laughed at. I should have followed my fucking advice.
You should have.
Yeah. And this is slanderous, IJ. This is not good.
Yeah. You really
I'm glad you've caught on to IJ too. That's what I call my brother because my dad's name's Ian. I call him Ian Jr.
Nice. I'm sure he loves that. To be fair, you've had a fair few good calls this year, and big podcasters keep talking you out of them. So I do feel for you.
People how spastics on Facebook keep going, next year I'm going to follow my own advice and not listen to podcasters. Genuinely, I should have just done that. I feel like, what it's like whenever you have a rogue shout, like Connor Watson back in round 7 or Jaden Campbell, or you sometimes look for the reasons not to do it. And you start asking people and then you hear no a couple of times, okay, I won't do it. I'm just crazy.
The problem with that is the more opinions you get, the more you're going to go away from the way that you initially think, I think. So that's why I only...
Yeah, well, I was going to say, this is the thing for the audience. If Inside is not your chosen podcast, if you have other favorites, fantastic. My advice is just listen to 1 or 2. Because the years that I've done well, it's been the years that I've never consumed other content, either my own or the podcast that I hold near and dear to me. And if Inside's not one of your top 2, absolutely fine. But my tip is generally just try and consume as much as you want for entertainment. But if you're consuming some for strategy and insight, then... Yeah,
inside.
Keep it to a minimum. Yeah, if inside, keep it to a minimum.
For sure.
You should follow my NFL content because I've got so much time during the day that I've started watching everyone's training camps. I've got a month off, ladies. Yeah. I got a month off. It's great. You ask me anything about the Green Bay receivers from this week, I'll slide into my DMs.
Good. Let's keep going with these. Derek Peters, Manu, Karaz, or Lomax for the run home. Which 2? Manu and Karaz.
Can you put the draw thing back up? I haven't even looked at the Dragons.
Everyone's a bad game because they're bad.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fuck this.
Dragons sucks. Yeah. They pay 4 of the 5 least conceding teams.
No thanks. Whoever the option that wasn't Lomax was, pick those 2.
Yeah. It's Karaz and Manu. They're way better anyway. So that is definitely my opinion. Hamish Hunter, Kalomatangi to Haas, is that sideways? Yes, I think so. With how good Keon's
definitely.
Want to go now as buying next week before round 24. Buy is a bit grim and we'll be looking for Angus in Keon's 2RF spot. No,
I wouldn't.
No.
I think
Keon's forward still sucks.
Yeah, I think Keon's now replaced Hamole as that. I think he also replaced Katoa as that third gun 2RF for the run home.
And Nikora.
And also then Nikora's just dropped out. I wouldn't be selling
and Keon.
Yeah, for Feeder, Gus, and Keon, probably the 3 must-haves. You got to have 2 of those 3.
Yeah, agreed. Reese wants to know what our fantasy trades are this week. I haven't honestly even looked at all. I usually don't look at fantasy until a little bit later.
I got 1 left. I'm just holding.
I've got 2. I'm probably just going to use 2 just for the sake of it, I think.
Would you like fantasy than MSC?
Do you want to know mine?
Yep.
Alex Johnston to Phoenix Crossland.
That is fucking gross. But I can get around it if he's going to be kicking in play. Who's going to kick in play for the Knights?
Him.
It'll be Gamble. It'll be Gamble, won't it?
Gamble's a terrible as a Broncos supporter. Gamble is a terrible kicker in play. I'm just thinking maybe I could get him in and play Phoenix Crossland because AJ's out for the year. But realistically, I'm not playing him at hooker because I've just got Reid Marnie all year. We're all going really well in fantasy, for the record.
Yeah, we've had a good year. I think I'm going to trade out Terrell May this week because I've still got him. I'm going to trade.
Jesus Christ.
I've still got him. Held him way too long. 2 weeks too long, I think I held Terrell May. But I'm going to go Terrell May to... I'm still undecided, but it's probably going to be Cam Murray, to be honest. So I'll do May to Murray, which will free up a bit of cash. And then I've got to upgrade. I've got one more upgrade. I might hold on to the trade, or I might...
I've only got one trade left. I'm holding on for fucking dear hope and playing Xavier Savage and Fullback.
I'm just sending it. I'm going to send it.
To be fair, Xavier Savage hasn't been that bad for me.
It might be Galvin to Fogarty, maybe in fantasy.
Hot.
Yeah, don't mind that.
I love Fogarty for fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. 600 kick meters a game is handy. Hamish Hunter, does Nikora get more ball on the run home, get much ball on the run home, tossing up him or Keon?
I don't know, man. I suggested this. Everyone fucking rinsed me. So, like, I'm not the person to ask.
I think it's hard because we're going off recency bias too. Like, we're looking back to last week and he got 48. But then the week before that, he scored 100 and nothing changed. Trindle was still there, no Nico. Nothing changed at all, but he scored 100 and he scored 48. So, like, if you're going off last week, he's a sell. If you're looking at the 2 weeks, he's probably a hold because he can get that triple figure score.
But yeah, someone on X told me he's running at Jacob Hoss, which is very good.
Oh, that's handy, actually. Yeah, that's really nice.
Just play Nikora. He's going to get the ball.
I mean, like, I think I overreacted as well because he's gone 120, 79, 92, 96, 43. Like, I think we're overreacting to one bad game. I'm gonna hold.
Fair. IJ McLean to Ramian.
No, I told you this on Sunday. No, you're not convincing me. Oh, I think that was Miles. I think it was Miles that asked for it, Ramian. Yeah, no, I'm not keen on Ramian at all.
Just hold McLean.
Yeah, wait, hang on. Why are you buying McLean to sell him? Like, surely you bought him like 3 weeks ago.
He's enough. He's not an AE nightmare. Hold McLean.
Agreed. What about Jeremiah Nanai as a pod?
I don't get this. I started this, but like over Haas, like
Haas, no chance.
Yeah, I don't get, like, this is the two different positions. Unless you've like, there's no good front row forward duels. So like, I don't really know who you can be putting up there. Just get a good front row forward. Just get Tarpany if you can't afford like Haas.
No, I do get it. Like, if you can get Haas, then Haas is the premier guy. But if it's getting one of those other guys, like Nanai can just bang out hundreds. You've just got to really pick your matchups and really delve into like the try maps and everything like that.
I wouldn't be holding like Terrell May to buy Nanai. Like, if you have a shit going forward, I'd be fixing that
Obviously, you've got Jules in like semi-final and Curran and blokes like that playing second row forward if you're having this discussion.
Like, if you've got those guys, sure. But like, if you've got like semi-final and Terrell May, then I'd be fucking doing what I could to not have that this week.
I mean, the Cowboys draw isn't amazing. I mean, they've got the Tigers this week, which could be leading people a bit astray. Like, they play the Broncos, who would probably have a fair bit to play for, potentially their season. Raiders haven't been rollover either. They come up as like an easier matchup in here, but they haven't had Fogarty. Then they come into a bye, Melbourne and Bulldogs to finish the year. Yeah. Don't love it. All right. What do we got? Hamish Hunter again. Is Angus essential?
Yes.
Already own Teddy, Manu, and Young and have 5 guns at 2RF. And if you've got 5 guns at 2RF, I'd say no.
I would still say yes.
Yeah, you'd still just go one of your guns to the gun that is Angus.
Or just have 6 guns. Like, I said my cutoff for the Roosters was 4. If you've got Teddy, Manu, and Young, that's 4. That's fine. Like, if you can get Angus without pulling up trees, then yeah. I mean, a difference. Like, if you're trading out fucking, like, I don't know, someone good for Angus, then no. But if you're trading out like,
but he's got 5 2RF guns, so that means he's trading out one of his guns to get another gun.
How do you know that?
So, like, he says he's got 5 guns in 2RF.
Yeah, but he could be trading out the 6th one. You get 6 2RFs.
Yeah, but why would you want 6 2RF guns?
Why not? Fuck it.
That's ridiculous. No.
If you could go, like, if there's question marks around Nikora and there's no question marks around Angus Crichton, you can go Nikora to Angus Crichton for 10K.
Would you
Essential is the only person I would sell Nikora to is Angus Crichton.
Okay. Out of that gun status?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
IJ meant McLean.
I love question time because it's really unstructured.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like my
IJ
life.
meant McLean or Ramian, and I think the answer is McLean. Yeah.
Sorry, I was like McLean to cry. Like, that makes no sense. Hot Scott. I started this one. Hot Scott for me.
Yeah, I like that. That's. I'm still picking Murray, but I can't argue with Scott Sorensen either. I like that. Oh, tough. I reckon Murray. More pretty boy Murray, I reckon.
Yeah,
Scott Sorensen's
yeah.
like chiseled, good looking, you know?
Scott's got like daddy vibes, whereas Murray's like more like soft wing.
Yeah. Like
Good
North
concept.
Shore,
I like his
Brooklyn
hair.
North
We
Shore in a
charge
suit
this, by the way.
and
We charge people for
tie. It's very, yeah, it's good,
I
isn't
say that as I'm applying fucking moisturizer to my hands. It looks really sus.
Ooh, yes, Murray.
Hello, Mr. Hammond.
Mr. Hammo's here, sponsor of the show. 4 trades he's got left, I'm assuming. I can get a pod center wing for Ronnie and Terrell May to Haas, or hold tight. I can cover any other injuries for the rest of the season. Just don't want to have May and Finu front row forward for the rest of the season, and that's
So,
fair.
4 trades using 2 to get Josh Adokar and Payne Haas.
Oh, Josh Adokar, fuck yes. Yes, Josh Adokar. That's some...
Yeah, I mean, whatever pod you go with, yeah, I don't mind it. To get Haas, you got to get off Teramo. It's just a cancer.
Jesse Arthurs, we're going to make the finals.
Oh, gross. You know, when we talk about a player so much throughout the podcast that like it just wouldn't be right for us not to trade Josh Adokar in now. That's where we're at. We've mentioned his name about 20 times this pod. And this is what happened with Hudson Young last year. We talked about him so much that we built him up and everyone else bought him and then hated us because he did nothing for about fucking 8 weeks.
Every time he goes well, I swear I get 40 notifications on Twitter. So keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, before I even like knew you guys, before we were friends, like this was when you guys were molten, and like I just saw these like 2 young guys that like cared enough to make their production value good.
We're not that
And
young.
it just kept coming up on my feed about Hudson Young, and I was like, "Who the fuck are these 2 guys?" And
Fuck yes, we made it. We got onto the Whisperer, you know, before he knew us. That's where this comes from. Joey Manu fan, if it has AFB, Curran, May, and enough at front row forward, is it worth using a trade 6 left to go May to Haas?
oh yeah, sorry. I mean, I'd rather May to a. If you've got that set up, I'd rather May to a 2RF.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just because the 2RF has more upside. Like it's not like you need the front row forward because you've got AFB and Haas, and I hope you've got Fainu because I think Fainu could be a good cover.
AFB and Curran. I think Curran's fine to play front row forward too as well.
Yeah, I don't think you need Haas in that situation. Like you only need Haas like if you're in my situation where you've got Fainu and May, that's it, and it's like fuck, it's grim.
Because Curran might score 30 less than Haas, but one of the second row forwards is going to fire, and if you get onto them, they could score 110. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah. For sure. IJ wants to know, Captain Matty at basketball, how many fouls and how many air balls?
You know what? I had an absolute blinder. So I top scored 2 weeks ago and then had a 7 assist to turnover ratio last week. I don't know the exact scores,
7
but I probably scored 12 tonight, and I hit 4 straight there in the second quarter. And then like I just went and sat for we were up by enough. I just went and sat there for the third because I am that arrogant. Like I just like walk over to the bench. I'm like, I've done me. You guys do something, eh?
Seth Curry, eat your heart out. Not Steph. Just Seth.
No, Seth. Yeah. No, definitely. Just the streaky.
It sounds like Cater Bates Diop a couple of years ago in the World Cup. That's what that sounds like, 100%.
Zaire Smith.
Sounds like prime Contavious Caldwell Pope.
Yeah. Oh, Contavious Caldwell Pope at the
me.
Lakers. At the Lakers in the finals. That's KCP. I like.
2014 Danny Green on the Spurs.
I'm a point guard. I'm like Nick. I was watching Nick Calather's highlights today.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Yeah. It's just a training camp, NFL training camp and fucking old replays of has-beens. Good. Still waiting for his
He's
Bolter.
starting for Greece, can I say?
That's good. Very rogue.
Still waiting for Bolters. Thanks for the $2, Hamo. That can go towards the shipping that Matrix is going to have to pay for to get your Bolters out there.
I'm actually kind of waiting for Hamo to come play golf with me. So,
okay. Well, there's your. You get your Bolters when you go and play around with Matrix. IJ DCE next week. Thanks for the donations tonight, mate. Appreciate those.
Right, DCE at like round 24 turns into the greatest Supercoach player of all time every year without fail.
Yeah. There's a period of time for like 4 weeks where he's better than everyone else. So
and the thing is, those 4 weeks haven't happened yet. So you know it's coming. So just load up. I would like DC as a pot actually.
It's like when you essentially you I lost where I was going with this, but it's like when you're on the punt, right? And you're losing over and over again, and you're like, fuck, I'm due. You know, that's what it's like. DCE is due. You're just due to win one. So you just keep punting and you lose all your money. So that's what it's going to be like if you buy DCE. And thanks to Joey Manu fan, appreciate that. Insight and Aman superior. Oh yeah, can't
Pretty good choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aman's good on the skewies too. The little skewy moi mois.
Yeah, is he? He loves a Denzel Frothington, does he?
Yeah, fuck. So we'd buy 4 and I'd drink 3 and he'd drink 1 in our shouts.
That's good. Someone's got to drink them, you know. Terry King, hi boys, content. Need your expert advice who to sell, Wishart or Blaze Talangi?
I can give you advice. I can't give you expert advice. If you have to sell one this week, I'd probably sell Wishart just because Talangi plays the Warriors.
Yeah, good shout. Good shout. Yeah, I think this week it's Wishart, especially off the bench as well, man. Like that can hurt you. If he gets 10 minutes and fucks your VC loop that you don't need this week, then yeah, that hurts you.
I'm praying for someone to fuck my VC loop. So
yeah, hey, maybe Wishart's the VC for you this week.
VC, yeah, VC.
Watch him score 120 and Munster gets injured in 7 minutes and he plays the rest of the game, scores a hat trick. SC Playbook and Insight are my go-tos. Yeah, good choices. That's a weird question. Who started this?
I'm not answering
that. That is a weird question.
Was that you?
No.
It must have been Braino.
It was Braino.
Must
No,
have
it was
been
fucking
Braino.
Matrix.
Fuck off.
What a weird.
Of course it was Matrix. What do you think? Josh Strange, big fan of the show. I've seen him in the chat before. Hi, Brain. Moving to Sydney next year. Where can I get the best banh mi, mate? No, I don't eat that stuff, mate. I'm a chicken schnitzel at the pub kind of guy. So if you're looking for advice on good food, yeah, you're not finding that from me. And also,
it's on banh you, not banh me.
Fuck
it. Yeah, when you have another kid and you've got 2 kids, the jokes get twice as bad.
I generally thought that we would wrap this episode up relatively quickly. we were like under an hour. We were under an hour before we went to team preview.
And then I rolled in.
Yeah,
sorry.
Matrix turned up. No, it's been good fun. We like it, and it is your last pod, so we'll send you out on a good one, you know, with a bit of banter. But speaking of ends, that'll do us. We got round 22 on the doorstep. We'll do Insight Unlimited Q&A coming. The subscriber Q&A. We'll wrap that one up tomorrow. And when does the round start this week? Thursday. We've got a Thursday game this week. How fucking good is that? So we'll do Insight Unlimited Q&A tomorrow. And get all the subscriber questions cracking. Obviously, if you haven't yet, join the Discord, hit subscribe, hit like. And I know how many people subscribe to the podcast, and there are still like 48% of people that watch this podcast and don't subscribe. So do yourself a favor and hit the little button. It's one button.
Do me a favor.
Yeah, and hit the like button, Jared Gold. Thank you. Love that. Guys, that'll do us. Thanks for watching. Good luck this week. We will see you Sunday for the wrap-up. Catch you later.
Cheerio.